Yo, what up, friends? Well, first half of the season is in the books. We talked a little bit last time, gentlemen, about we talked a lot last time about the Thunder. We talked about if they were going to be able to hold on. This was after the first 20 games of the season. So we talked about would they be able to, even win 73 games at that point we talked about. Now we know the Thunder lost a little bit of luster this year, and also San Antonio has their number a little bit there. But they are at 42-14, technically leading the league in record, but Detroit leads in winning percentage. I believe is what it was yesterday. But anyways, so that's the top two there in terms of teams at the top. Other than that, we also had the All-Star game this past weekend. A lot of consternation about past All-Star games and the competitive and thereof. So we'll talk about that in just a second. But first of all, gentlemen, let's just start with some first half thoughts. Give me your best first half storyline. Bobby G, let's start with you.
Just the streak of disappointment. I know coming into the season, a lot of people thought the Eastern Conference was wide open. It still is wide open, but I think a lot of people are surprised by the way the quote-unquote big three would have been playing. You figured Detroit, Cleveland, and New York had a leg up on everybody, but the way they've been playing, that just hasn't been the case. Like, to the point where a hobbled Boston Celtics team is still the 2 seed. And they don't even have their best player, who, oh, by the way, may be back for the playoffs.
Let's go, JT.
So that would be, and especially me being, a Cavs fan, highly disappointed in the start to the season. So that's probably my biggest storyline, outside of clearly the Spurs being more ready than most people thought they went. I think most people had them as a dark horse. But
when you see the hat that I have on, once you have a superstar, a bona fide, I know you don't like it, Bobby G, a bona fide number one like Jaylen Brown, and then you bring back. I don't want to hear what you. I didn't ask what your opinion was on Jaylen Brown. All right, when you bring a number one like Tatum and you put him with a number one like Brown, you got JT and JB, championship, baby.
Cal, same Jaylen Brown that went 4 for 20 and got beat by 30 by Detroit.
It was an all-star game.
Oh, I'm talking about Detroit.
Oh, the one against Detroit. Yeah. Detroit has had our number this year. Talk about that. Cal, what was your first half storyline?
I'm actually more surprised at how well the Detroit Pistons are playing. I did have them pegged as being one of the top teams in the Western Conference, but to be right now with maybe a quarter of games left to play, maybe 30% left of the games left to play in the regular season, they arguably can walk away being the number one seed. Facts. Which will allow them an opportunity to get out of the first round and then really have to deal with probably the teams that may kind of cause them problems in the 7-game series. But the one thing that I think really stands out more than anything is what you mentioned before about the San Antonio Spurs elevating themselves to probably being contenders to the Oklahoma City Thunder. The only question is will they have the experience? Will they have the ability to perform at a high level in a 7-game series against a team as formidable as them? But by all accounts, from a talent perspective, they can be better than the Lakers. They can be better than the Timberwolves. They can be better than the Nuggets. You know what I mean? Like, it's just a matter of whether or not they can mature themselves enough through the remainder of the games, position themselves well, and take advantage of having home court advantage. And that's the same questions you're going to probably ask about a team like the Detroit Pistons. Teams like the Knicks, teams like the Cavaliers, teams like the Nuggets, teams like the Minnesota Timberwolves, we're talking about them in the same breath as saying, okay, they're going to be fine when they get to the playoffs. But you can clearly see that each of those teams are severely flawed. And even when they go through their streaks and they look like, world beaters for maybe a stretch of 2-3 weeks, they run into some buzzsaw competition. And suddenly we have to come back to that same question. Are they good enough to get to the end? So, that's why it's all wide open. Teams like the Sixers and teams like the Celtics, who each of these teams respectively should be on down years, suddenly have injected themselves into the conversation. So I'm just utterly it's completely wide open, both the Western Conference and the Eastern Conference. But I think the biggest surprise for me right now is the Detroit Pistons and the level of physicality and how they're playing. I think they're a team that's not to be reckoned with as long as they maintain the way that and the style that they play and get better as they get towards the end of the regular season. If they do that, they could probably find themselves playing in the Eastern Conference Finals, which I don't think anybody expected.
Yeah, I mean, no one expected that, and having a slightly higher than 750 winning percentage is pretty tremendous for a young team like that. Like you said, just like San Antonio, right? Young. They got De'Aaron Fox more experience, but when the playoffs, Jay, that's when it really matters because even though the Thunder is a fairly young team, and you would know being our expert Thunder, whatever content, I don't know everything, fan everything. What do you think about your Thunder, and what do you think about the Spurs possibly having their number, and also what your top storyline?
Yeah, so on the Spurs having their number, I think that's funny because honestly, I don't know if Oklahoma City really plays them that hard. Like, I don't know if they actually care when they play in that game as much. Now, granted, I'll say this. Wemby and Chet definitely care when they play. Wemby and Chet, when they match up against each other, they care. Because those two hate each other. That's like an old school grudge.
Oh, I love that.
That's like an old school Isaiah Thomas, I hate Michael Jordan type grudge. Like, they despise each other in a way that I want to know the backstory. No one knows the backstory on this because no one's been able to share it. But, man, it must be just Wemby walked in and say, hey, wait, there's another skinny dude that thinks he can ball like me? Nah, we ain't having that. Like, it's like skinny on skinny beef nonstop between those two. It cracks me up every time I see it. Because Wemby talks about he don't like him. He want to go out there and he want to kill him. And I'm just like, dang, that's some gangster stuff right there. Yeah. I love it. I love the competitiveness of Wembayama, right? But from there, though, I don't know about them truly having their number because even last season, Minnesota was like, I think 3-1 against the Thunder in the regular season. And everybody told me Minnesota was going to be able to run through and dominate them when we got to the playoffs. And then what did Oklahoma City do? They went belt to ass and went ahead and closed that series out. So, I mean, I'm sitting there in the stands watching and I'm like, dang, are we really up 30 right now against Anthony Edwards and a team that everyone told me was going to give OKC hell? Well, looks like they didn't. And that's the one thing about the Thunder that I think that's impressed me the most is even as unhealthy as they've been, they've still been able to come out here at 42-14, just like last season. Dove hasn't played most of it. I think he's missed 30 games so far. He ain't played most of the season. Chet missed a little bit of time. Hardenstein's missed some time again. That was similar that you saw last year where they finished the year with 67 wins. You're like, dang, that's impressive that they're able to lock in like this, even with all these injuries in play. Now that Shea's out, we'll see. He should be back now post All-Star break, but to me, they'll lock in later. They won't see the Spurs again until the playoffs. And the question is, what will the Spurs look like at that time? Wemby's still on a minutes restriction, so we don't know what they look like. But storyline-wise, I love y'all storylines. Y'all hit some very good points. Honestly, mine is going to go a little different angle on this one. I'm trying to figure out what the heck's going on with the Orlando Magic. So they made that trade over the summer for Desmond Bane. And all of us was like, that's a pretty solid move. It should help Paolo Banchero be able to go out there and really do. Wait, Paolo's only averaging 21.3 a game? Franz Wagner is also averaging 21.3. Okay, so wait, they're 7th in the East at 28-25, as mentioned. You've got injuries that's hurting everybody in the East. Well, Boston, for some reason, can just overcome theirs. Indiana can't. But Orlando still can't figure it out. I don't understand it. This feels like the biggest disappointment in the trade over the summer. Of all the trades of the summer, this has got to be the biggest disappointment because I know they weren't expecting number 7 seed. They was expecting at least a top 4. And yeah, this ain't the business at all.
Yes. No, that's a great point because you're right. All of us did hype up that trade in the offseason. I remember everybody was.
It was good.
It should have been. It should have been. It should have worked out.
Can I throw something out real quick to what
Please,
Jay
no.
about?
You're very great.
Jay, I agree. I completely agree with you. I don't know if whether or not I'm going to put this as much on the trade as I'm putting this as much on both Wagner and Banchero have taken a step back this year. And
see it.
And because if you'd have told me what was preventing the Orlando Magic from being as competitive to the top tier teams last year, because remember the Celtics had to go 6 with them, right?
Yep.
Is the fact that they did not have perimeter shooting. They can't shoot the 3. And if they thought that the only way that they were going to like the sole reason, right? Okay, just give me Desmond Bane. Okay, well, Jalen Suggs, he's been good, but he hasn't necessarily been great. And then, obviously, he stays injured, right? And you have to still wonder, is he a true point guard now for that type of talent that you have? I'm putting this, I'm not saying I'm blaming, but I'm putting this on Mosley, and I'm putting this on how the Magic came to this conclusion about addressing the things that obviously did not allow them to advance further to where they are, where they need to be. Because even now, you could have made the argument for a team that's in 7th place. There was still something you could have done by the trade deadline to improve this team offensively that is obviously still lacking from why you made that trade for Desmond Bane, and they didn't address it. You know what I'm saying? So, like, again, it's really odd, but I'm actually putting more emphasis on Bane. I'm not sorry, Bane, but I'm putting more emphasis on Banchero because I don't know what's going on with Banchero. I saw this from the beginning of the year. As a matter of fact, the Magic would actually have a worse record if Desmond Bane wasn't as offensively aggressive as he's been for the Magic because of the disappearance to Banchero. He is nothing near or close to. I don't know if he's masking an injury or something happened, but he is definitely not playing like the person that I saw the second half of this season that everybody walking in preseason was saying he could possibly be an MVP candidate with the way that he was playing at the end of last season.
Yeah, that's a good point. I agree with you there. It does not. It just don't feel like. They just don't feel like they're just a complete team. Like you said, the thing they were missing was perimeter shooting, especially from the 3. They could not do anything. Desmond Bane comes in, he's shooting 37% from 3, not too shabby, right? But it ain't enough to get them dubs. It feels like, or it's not enough in the clutch moments. It's just. It's so tough in the NBA.
It's disappointing.
Yeah.
It's disappointing.
It's so disappointing.
Yeah, it's disappointing.
Yeah. And Jay, just to give you a little clarity on your Chet Wemby thing, the first time they played was in 2021 in a Nike, was it World?
Yeah,
the
like
FIBA
high
World
schoolers.
Cups
Yeah.
Chet got MVP. Wemby had 32 blocks in the tournament.
They hate each other ever since, baby. I love it.
So
I love the beef.
He might be
there,
salty
dog.
about not getting that MVP.
Salty, just they knuckle up every time they see each other, dog. I love it. We don't get that very often. We don't get that type of just disdain. But that's also, he's a French fry, so you kind of get that from French folk. A little weird.
I love that. And I love another guest joining us right now from also the Baseline NBA podcast. Warren Shaw. Let me get him. Oh, what happened here? Where are we doing it? Oh, what happened? Oh, I see what's going on. We need the old Fiverr. Oh, I see. It didn't update it. Okay. Well, hold on. 1 second, Warren. I almost had you. Give me 1 second. I gotta fix this real quick.
He's a slippery fellow, man. You know what I'm saying? Like,
It's my fault. Y'all go ahead and keep talking while I bring him in. Keep going.
But yeah, that's definitely funny to see the beef between those two, man. It warms my heart watching. I mean, Anthony Edwards is similar in the way that he plays on the court with an attitude of I want to cook everybody while at the same time being cool. I'm cool with y'all when we off the court or whatnot, but I want to destroy y'all. And you saw that in the All-Star game, which I was actually impressed in watching how competitive they were. But I was actually listening to Bomani Jones talk about this the other day, and the one thing he pointed out is that like everything began and ended with the competitiveness of that game was through Wemby, right? Like as much as I like to give props to our guy Anthony Edwards for also being a pretty much a lunatic out there in the court too, Wemby was the one that forced it, mainly because he can go out there like you mentioned, Bobby. He had 33 swats in that Nike Elite, right? Yeah. Who wants to get their shot swatted in the All-Star game? Who wants to be embarrassed in public by everybody? And that's exactly what Wemby planned on doing the whole time. Like you saw Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant was looking out over his shoulder the whole time. Like, where Wemby at?
But I don't know. I can't. I got to keep it 50-50. Like Wemby's attitude, because he had the meme mug, right? Because he got to show, because he's Frenchman. He got to show. Like Ant-Man is killing you with a smile on his face, bro.
Yeah,
like he hit you with this.
He's cooking with joy.
And laughing.
He's cooking with joy. I love that.
Yeah. So I gotta give it a 50-50. Like Wemby did it with the mug, Ant did it with the performance.
There you go. Hey, and we got joyful to have Warren Shaw joining us. What's up, brother? How you doing today?
Man, apologies for my tardiness, but great to have a conversation with y'all boys. I've been trying to tune in on my drive back here. as I was getting some food for the wife. But seems like you guys have it rocking and rolling, man. I'm really excited to join y'all.
Hey, no, we appreciate you coming on. You can as well find Warren at the NBA Baseline Podcast with Cowley. Also, 19 Media Group on YouTube as well. So y'all catch them gentlemen there. Amazing basketball talk. So Warren, we were just talking about our first half storylines, and we kind of got sidetracked on a few different themes there. One was the Thunder's lack of dominance, not getting that 73 wins we talked about before. Another was the Orlando Magic and their failures thus far, not living up to the promise of their four-headed monster. We also talked about I'm blanking on the other team now.
The Celtics, they're terrible.
The Celtics were covered. We didn't talk about them yet. Anyways, and by the way, there's 3 Celtics fans on this show, buddy, so you better calm down. The 2 gentlemen at the bottom are both Celtics fans as well. So, Warren, what was your first half storyline? Any thoughts on any of that? Oh, Detroit was the other team.
Yeah, I mean, I think to maybe make it a little bit different from what y'all have already discussed, I may be a little surprised. I don't know if it's a storyline, but it's kind of caught me off guard. I think it's the competency of the Sixers, especially with the way they started the season. Joel was looking like a hobbled dude, like he was, head towards medical retirement. But what VJ Edgecombe has been able to do, in the first, he's obviously the 3rd candidate for Rookie of the Year. Right. Tyrese continues to take another step in that. Nick Nurse has that team figuring it out, and it's kind of like patchwork, but they're there. And Cal and I talked on our show, was like, well, do we trust it? Like, should we trust it? And you want to be super skeptical. And I still am, but at the end of the day, if you were to tell me they somehow made a run in the Eastern Conference, if as long as Embiid is healthy, and I was kind of joking, kind of tongue in cheek, Paul George, the suspension, obviously, not for the greatest of reasons, but he gets to rest 25 more games and not due to injury. So he comes back.
Shocker. Yeah.
Towards the end of the season. Like, the Sixers, to me, have a certain level of competency that I don't think any Eastern Conference team is like, yeah, I can't wait to sign up for that matchup if they get into the playoffs, because Embiid can be the most dominating player in the series. Like, he can be, again, always the caveat if healthy. So that's been, I think, one of the biggest surprises for me this NBA season.
I mean, that's a very, very good point. And I mean, a lot of the talk is, can Embiid actually stay healthy enough, like you said, for that playoff run? And so in Philadelphia, they're really concerned if that's going to actually happen, because of the fact that, we just never know with him. We never know if he's going to be healthy any day of the week. And without the load management anymore, or at least trying to combat it, which we'll talk about later with like MVP awards, and Jokic having, if he misses one more, he's out of the MVP. So that's something that maybe needs to be discussed in terms of maybe forcing players to play when they shouldn't, although I don't think you should be playing for an award. But I do agree with you, except the championship. But I do agree with you. I think that, they are a threat, or could be, in the playoffs at full speed and healthy. But again, they would need everybody back, including Embiid and George, and obviously Maxey playing a high level. I do want to go back just because the Pistons are really what I keep coming back to. I mean, again, no one really thought that they were going to do this. And really the only major change was bringing in, which is a major change, bringing in JB Bickerstaff, installing some toughness and some defensive mentality into them. They have the best net rating in the East and second best in the NBA. They have the 5th best offensive rating in the East, 10th best in the NBA. They have the best defensive rating in the East and the second best in the NBA. So when you're looking at their team, they're very highly rated in all of the most important efficiency categories. And you talked about it earlier, Kyle, so we'll start with you here. You talked about how their lack of shooting and their 3-point shooting is what would be their demise, if anything. Did you have more thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, this again, it comes down to, and this is just my personal belief. If you can get yourself right going into the playoffs offensively towards the end, but you already have your defensive principles intact, you increase your chances of getting to the finals. Okay. When we start to question whether or not a team is capable of stopping the other team is when you have to wonder, are they going to be good enough to get to their conference finals? We do this with the Cavaliers. We do this with the Knicks. We do this even with the Sixers.
This sounds like the Seattle Seahawks that just won the Super Bowl. That's what
right.
it sounds like.
And I say this because last year we didn't have to worry about that when we were talking about the Oklahoma City Thunder, because defensively, by the metrics, they were playing at a very high level defensively. The only question was whether or not they were going to get it together offensively. And you saw what the outcome of that became, right? It's hard to argue when you have the MVP of the league doing MVP-like things when your offense isn't working for you on a night in, night out basis. What you're seeing here with the Detroit, and here's where I'm correlating all of this. What you're seeing with the Detroit Pistons is you actually have a team that is defensive first, but they know and they feel like they have an MVP on their side with Cade Cunningham. And they feel like if he continues to take those steps, SGA-like type steps, because of his ability to score, his ability to elevate his teammates, get them in positions to score, they may feel like they can figure this out as they get closer to the playoffs. That could be a one leg up for a team like the Detroit Pistons. The one thing that will work against them, again, is the maturity aspect of it, because they haven't gotten that far. They haven't been able to get out of the first round. They're a team that wants to play like a team like the New York Knicks. On paper, the Knicks look like a better team. But if you have a team that plays with the physicality the Detroit Pistons have, and you start forcing the Knicks to play outside of what they're normally playing, that's when a team like the Pistons does what teams like the Oklahoma City Thunder do, right? So that's the reason why I'm like really surprised, because I think when we were talking about this before, Shaw had mentioned this about the Sixers, about whether or not we believe it's real or it's fake. The reason why we feel like, it could be very much real is because in the playoffs, the greatest matchup nightmare for any of the teams in the Eastern Conference is anyone who has to play against Joel Embiid if he's 100%. He is arguably the best player and the best matchup nightmare against anyone, because they can't stop him when he's on it. But when he's hobbled, he's not 100%. You get what I'm saying? But the only team that could probably give him problems would be a team like the Detroit Pistons, because up and down that lineup, they have players that can offer the physicality to wear a guy like Joel Embiid out, wear a guy like Karl Anthony Towns out. You know what I'm saying? None of the other teams really have that. And so to me, to see that kind of ascension from the Detroit Pistons, I'm saying that should be like 2 years down the road, and they're already doing it a year removed from what they showed you last year.
And that's
Cal, do me a favor.
Yeah, go ahead.
Cal, close your eyes.
I'm trying
really picture the Detroit Pistons. Really picture them. Now open your eyes and tell me what you really see.
I see a team that's going to be a problem for everybody. Period.
I see the Cleveland Cavaliers 3 seasons ago. JB Bickerstaff, we were in the exact same position. We were the exact same team. We were tough. We got 2 guys down there that could do, they could take this, they could do everything. And when we get to the playoffs, JB Bickerstaff turns into a pumpkin. I'm not worried about the roster. I'm worried about the sideline in Detroit.
So you're worried about the guy calling the shots?
Yeah. His problem ain't getting it. We at the exact same position. We were in the play-in. Then we went from the play-in, we went to end. Then we went from end to we went top 4 in the East. Exact same path as the Pistons. They're just the Cavs from 3 years ago. So I can't be a believer in JB until I see it in the postseason.
All right.
I'm cracking
up.
I'm
gonna hold you to that, Bobby. I'm gonna hold you to that.
Hey,
okay.
I'm gonna hold JB to that.
We gonna circle back around, come towards the playoffs, if and when that should happen or occur. I think though you learn from your mistakes at some point, because to your point, if it doesn't happen with this roster that he's working with, then it's just never going to happen with JB Bickerstaff. And I'm not saying this. I'm not saying this because Sean knows, because we actually were fortunate enough to have him on the show and be able to talk with him and get an understanding of his coaching style and what his belief is and what he sees, his lens and things of that nature. And that's removed from the experiences he's already been to. And I think going through what he went through in Cleveland has allowed him to understand where he has to, again, make those type of adjustments. And it's hard to do it when you're working with a roster that may look like they may be good or great, and then you're trying to make them even be better than that, and they don't live up to it. It's a completely different scenario and situation where you're working basically ground up with these guys. And I think the Pistons understand that. And where to your point, it's going to be on Cade Cunningham, Jalen Duren, and those guys, Duncan Robinson, Tobias Harris. They got to make JB Bickerstaff better, right? Like they got to go out and execute at that level. And we'll see if whether or not that does or doesn't happen. Because to your point, if the Cleveland Cavaliers were the type of team that JB Bickerstaff had access to that are similar, then there's no question they should be able to at least get to the conference finals. So if they're not doing it, I'm wondering if part of that also is whether or not those guys really want it that badly. Because, and I'm not going to try to put it on your Cavs, but we're going to be asking the same question about the Cavaliers and Atkinson 2 years removed. And you just made a big trade in getting a guy like James Harden, who I think is a mercurial talent, but to me, it's doubling down exactly on what the Cavs believe is going to be necessary for them to even hang with the way that the teams are set up in the Eastern Conference right now to give them the best advantage and the pathway forward for them to get to the conference finals.
Absolutely.
That's tremendous analysis. I was cracking up because when you were like, close your eyes and tell me what you see. You remember Cool Runnings?
Oh, I was going more for what's my guy? All right.
Oh, Matthew McConaughey.
Yeah, you know, hey, picture a little girl.
Yeah.
I didn't want to.
I was like, no, that's not good right now. That's not good right now. We don't do that.
This is not the climate to be picturing little girls, bro. No, this is not.
Not with the
Yeah, we'll just gloss past that and pretend like we didn't hear anything.
I see a bad mother sucker that won't give up nothing. Anyways, but for real, look, the Pistons, just to kind of give some more context to this, here's some more sports professor stats: 17-6 against 500 or better teams, 29-3 in clutch games, 18-3 in games decided by double digits. So if they can get a lead on you and at least hold that lead, they can usually win in the clutch as well. But again, I think the three-pointer is going to hurt them come playoff time. They're great in the post, really good at offensive rebounding. But I really do think that will come back to bite them, not being able to have a consistent three-point threat. Anybody else?
I can see it.
I'll just say, I mean, they added Herter, and I don't know how much one guy can do and how many minutes he's going to play, but that's their answer to that. And they didn't want to make a bigger move at the deadline, as many people say, hey, you need to go get MPJ, you need to go get Lauri Markkanen or whatever. And those are high price guys, and then could also disrupt what appears to be a really solid locker room, I think, at this stage, right? Like this group has kind of a collegial feel, so to speak. Cade is playing the best basketball of his career, his young career, but best offensive rating, but also his best defensive rating. I know, like, whatever you say about the All-Star game, he blocked some shots. I was like, all right, Cade. Like, so even in that, like, he's competitive in a way that not a lot of people are giving him the immense level of credit for.
That's big facts.
But I do think, what they're hoping to get from Herter is that answer to that. Like, can we get the three-point shooting on the cheap? And we'll see if they cheap themselves out of an NBA championship by not going and getting somebody that was a little bit more established.
Well, look, you're not going to hear. Hold on. Go ahead, Jay.
Oh, no. Go ahead. You good?
No. I was just going to make a quip about my alma mater, so you can go ahead. I wasn't going to add anything of value. So go ahead.
No. I'll just piggyback on that, man. You know what? Nah, I'm good. I don't know. I honestly don't know what to even think about the Pistons as far as I think Bobby pointed out. Well, they look like the Cavs last year. The Cavs was dominant. They were beating the crap out of everybody. And then when it got to the most important part of the year, they disappeared. Like, I was wondering if my Thunder was going to be that way. What was that 2 years ago after, they got knocked off by Dallas? I was like, all right, are we going to be the team that gets the 1 seed, cooks most of the season, and then get in the playoffs and just fizzle away? And the fact that they were able to get that 1 seed, being as injured as they were most of the season, right? Hartenstein comes, you sign him as a free agent, and he loses about 40 games. It feels like, at least. So it's about 30 or something. But he hurt his thumb. He's out. Chet's gone 50. And you're like, all right, well, this shouldn't happen. But then they put up all the numbers and they play such a good, deep, unselfish brand of ball, even with Shea still leading things. And they still get that. And you're like, all right, when then the playoffs hit, they actually show up and show out. And so, like, I'm wanting to see if the Pistons can do that themselves. If with the way the team is playing, if they can just maintain that ball all the way to the playoffs and then give me something past the second round. Like first round, you better beat the 8 seed, right? Especially if you get that number 1. Who's that? Who's the 8 seed right now in the NBA? Let me see. I had it
Right
pulled
now it's
up
the Heat.
just now. Be the Heat.
Yep.
That's terrifying, right? I mean, what's playing? You still got the Hawks as well as the Hornets, who, by the way, the Hornets are very fun to watch right now.
Low key.
And I don't know
As the kids
how
would say.
they did that, but I'm actually impressed that the minute that Michael Jordan basically sells a majority share, the team is fun to watch again. I need them to figure out a way to keep that up, though. That's kind of be the most important thing. But besides that, the Pistons should still be able to take that first round. That next round is going to be the question. Can they get past the Cavs right now? Would they be able to get past the Raptors? Cavs picking up James Harden to add with Donovan Mitchell. It's an interesting combo, but can they maintain that spot and then also get past the second round? That is, to me, the biggest thing for the Pistons. Is I need to see what they look like after the second round of the playoffs. If they can make it to the Eastern Conference Finals, I think they got a chance to make it to the finals.
Okay. And I'll never be one to, as a Celtics fan, my favorite player ever was Larry Bird. Doesn't mean you have to be Larry Bird if you're a Celtics fan. I'm just saying. So I will never be upset at a random shot at Michael Jordan. But I don't think MJ deserved that random shot you just gave him as he just won.
Deserved a stray. What are you talking about?
I mean, he just won the Daytona 500.
So, hey, I'm proud of him. That's dope. He got that Daytona 500, and his Charlotte Hornets have sucked the entire time he's on them.
No, but you're right. Con Kneppel is added to that team. Go ahead. Yeah,
I
please.
was
Anybody can jump in.
Bobby,
No, I was just gonna hop in real quick. Remember the preseason show? I told y'all about Con Kneppel.
Con Kneppel, you did.
What's his middle name? Does anybody know?
Man.
It better not be something crazy. I don't know. Let me see.
Con Man Kneppel.
What were you gonna say, Cal?
I was just gonna tell you that if this now doesn't,
I like that.
If this doesn't emphatically tell you that the mystique of Michael Jordan, right? You know how we talk about the greatness of Michael Jordan and how he, revolutionized the business of basketball and everything like that. There are some people, even within their greatness, I don't think there were certain aspects to the game of basketball that I think he appreciated and enjoyed. It brought him a lot of what he has, but you can clearly tell that he did not want to be a part of that. I think he felt like he had to be a part of it. It felt natural to him with the way that he's wired and he's built, but that never brought him joy. You know what I'm saying? I don't think him owning the Hornets ever brought him joy. I think it was a part of something that is attached to the legacy of Jumpman 23, Jordan Brand, and everything like that. Then he goes and he invests in NASCAR. These are you know what I'm saying? If he were to go and invest in golf with Tiger Woods, you'd see joy in his face. You'd probably see him being more involved and more in tune to things. And guess what? That is okay. That is okay. You know what I mean? We can always be in a space where we don't have to absolutely love something just because we're in it. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And I mean, we'll talk about that because I know we're going to talk about the All-Star weekend.
Great segue.
But that to me is part of the conversations that people tend to have. And it's just so easy to just lump a person in there that if something fails, it meant they were never good at that, or they should have never been good at it. They tried it. It didn't work. And as long as they come to grips with that, I'm fine with them walking away from it and doing things that is more in what they're aligned with, more than what they're passionate about. Same thing with Derek Jeter. Remember Brad Daugherty? You know what I'm saying? Great center.
Yep.
But, when you get to a certain point, you've given everything you've had to the sport. Now you can go put your passions and everything else. And he was doing NASCAR. And then he comes back and he does, color analysis talking about the game of basketball. But he doesn't have to go and own a team. He doesn't have to go and, you know what I'm saying? There's just certain spaces. And I find that just very interesting because I'm happy for Michael Jordan. Something had always told me that he wanted to be involved in other endeavors than what the NBA was demanding of him and what he was giving to the NBA. So I'm glad that he is away from that part of it. And maybe because of that, to your point, Jay, is why we're now seeing the Hornets operating in a different space. Finally, it's being put in the hands of people that really want to be about the business of building up a franchise and a team and a system and doing certain things that may take a little bit longer to get to, but eventually it may actually bear fruit for what we want to see, which is a successful basketball team with sustainable winning success.
I can give you a different perspective. The only pushback I would give you, so I agree with a lot of what you said. The only pushback I would give you, I don't think he had the mentality for it. I think that's what it was. Because remember, he broke up his friendship, a great friendship with Charles Barkley because he told him the truth. Michael Jordan likes to surround himself with yes men, not necessarily people who can complete the task at hand. And I think that was a downfall of his ownership tenure with the Charlotte Hornets, trying to hire just people who quote unquote have your back versus hire a GM who can do the job, my guy. Like, I mean, again, go back to when he came back with the Wizards, right? First thing he did is hire the coach he can play for. Bro, it's not about you. It's about the team. Right. I think that was more of his downfall than that. But I can definitely get what you're saying.
Yeah. No, it makes sense. I mean, they're all valid reasons. I mean, obviously, if you don't have the joy that you can put into something, if you've given 20 years, 30 years of your career to something, I mean, yeah, you probably want to switch it up at that point and do something new. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I want to go fishing and go play golf or whatever. Even if I suck like Charles Barkley, I still want to go spend all my time playing golf. You know what I mean? So shout out to everybody tuning in. Tyler McDowell. Love the convo, fellas. Go Suns. Hey, appreciate you. Suns are playing above their head this year. Gentlemen, any thoughts on the Suns this year?
Oh, look what happens when you get a real point guard.
Yeah.
Shocker. Wow. Shocker.
I'm one of, Tyler's one of our dudes from 19. So shout out to our guy, hot take Ty. And
let's go.
For me, I don't think it's controversial, but it's not getting a lot of publicity. I think Jordan Knott's coach of the year. I mean, because this Suns team, they have no business. Like from my lens,
you're right though.
Being here, and I was like, "Who's Jordan Knott?" And while it's dope to see JB Bickerstaff getting love, it's dope to see my guy Joe Mazzulla getting love because everyone thought the Celtics were going to be in the tanker as well too. But who saw the Suns with this? Like nobody except for Matt Ishbia and the Suns saw themselves in this space. So I don't understand. Like Jordan, oh yeah, he's maybe third for coach of the year. Nobody even knew who he was. How is he not the coach of the year right now? You know what I mean? Pretty solidly going to end up in a playoff spot in the Western Conference. To me, the job he's done out there has been friggin' phenomenal. Dylan Brooks, ultimate culture setter yet again. While again, you don't have to love him, but where he goes, there are results, and they may be short-lived. It might be 2 years, and I was like, all right, time for Dylan to get up out here again.
Gotta go.
Yeah, he's that proverbial. You love him on your team for a few years, but once he got to go somewhere else, and then when you play him, I don't want to play this month.
Yeah. So I'm rocking with Phoenix, man. They've turned my thoughts about them around in a major way. But Jordan Knott specifically, I can't say enough about the job that he's done as a coach.
We had them pegged as among one of the worst teams going into this year. Like they were going to be a lottery team. Yeah. And
they still done this without Jalen Green.
Exactly.
Played like 3 games all year. Like,
I don't even think anyone remembered he was a part of the trade. It's like seriously. I mean, Drea.
That's a very good point.
That's very. Drea might remember, but nobody else remembers that he got moved. You know what I'm saying? So which tells you how locked in. But we did mention this too, though, Shaw. Hey. What is it called? Bad guy Luka or bad Luka? Hey, what about Devin the Devil? Okay, Devin the Devil is back, and I'm loving every aspect of that kind of person. So if it's because of Dylan Brooks that's bringing that part of it out of him, horns and all, pitchfork and all. Hey, I'm about that life with Devin Booker, man, because when he's like that, man, my man loves to cook, and he loves to, and that's the kind of competitiveness that the Suns have been lacking the last few years. Ever since Chris Paul departed during their championship run, Devin Booker has never been the same since that, as far as his mentality, his level of aggressiveness. We're seeing that back again, man. And I'm happy to see that because the Suns are a better team to watch when he's in that kind of mode.
Yeah, but it's not only that. And the last thing I'll say real quick is they have, I would say, the coach of the year, and they also have a candidate for, most improved player in Colin Gillespie. Like, you don't realize what he's doing now at that 2-guard position as not just a shooter, but as a pseudo play creator, can rebound it a little bit as well too. And there's trying defensively. He's not locked down, but he's trying. And those are things out there that then in Phoenix, like you just couldn't necessarily have seen, in essence, kind of coming from them. So two guys who are up for potential NBA, season awards out there in Phoenix. I'm not saying that they're going to win, but they're in the conversation. And that's just not something I think anybody saw coming at all.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, no, I think pretty much everybody thought they were going to be pretty sorry, probably get a lottery. And that but look, Devin Booker, he got his team back. It's his team now. No more of the Bradley Beals and the Kevin Durant's and the so on. And nope, it is me, myself, and I'm going to ball out as hard as I can to make sure that we win some games. And so, hey, when you take it into your own control and take it in your own hands, I can't even be mad at that.
Subscribe on YouTube at Ball and Buds